There was a time when 35 caliber cartridges ruled the big game hunting scene like absolute kings. These rounds weren't just effective, they were legendary. They dropped moose with solid authority, stopped charging bears cold, and put trophy bucks on the ground with undeniable power. But today, many of these cartridges have quietly faded into obscurity, slipping toward extinction like the dodo bird. It's almost surreal when you consider it. These rounds were built on decades of trust and tradition, passed down through families and rifles. You'd expect that legacy to keep them alive, but the story took a sharp turn. Why? Because ballistics evolved. Advances in bullet design and powder chemistry rewrote the game, letting smaller calibers shoot flatter, penetrate deeper, and hit harder than ever before. Back then, 35 calibers were the go-to for raw stopping power. Now, hunters have access to cartridges that match or exceed that performance with ammo available everywhere. The 35s that once dominated are now seen as outdated, scarce, and unnecessary by many younger shooters. Top-tier power reclassified as interesting but obsolete. So can these 35 legends stage a comeback, or are they destined to be relics? Let's dive into their stories, the glory, the fall, and what might still be ahead. The 35 Whelen, a non-magnum beast with cult status. The 35. Whelen is a different breed altogether. Born in 1922 but only standardized in 1988, it's a powerhouse that commands respect. Unlike the 35 Remington, this round was designed for serious impact, pushing a 200-grain bullet at about 2,900 feet per second, enough to take down anything roaming North America, including Kodiak bears. Many assume Colonel Townsend Whelen created it himself, but it was actually crafted by respected gun writer James V. Howe as a tribute to Whelen's influence. The design is straightforward. Take a .306 Springfield case, neck it up to accept a .358 caliber bullet, and you get one of the most potent non-magnum cartridges still found on shelves today. Loaded with Hornady Superformance, it cranks a 200-grain bullet at nearly 2,900 feet per second, generating an impressive 3,760 foot-pounds of energy. In the right hands and with the right bullet, the Whelen can dispatch virtually any North American game. Remington's official standardization in 1988 cemented the Whelen's niche, but it never broke into mainstream fame. Certain state hunting laws allowing its use in single-shot rifles have kept it relevant, but outside of diehard followers, it's largely a ghost. The truth. Unless trends shift, the .35 Whelen risks becoming just a nostalgic footnote in hunting lore within the next generation. The 358 Winchester, a short-action muscle cartridge. When the 358 Winchester hit the scene in 1955, it arrived chambered in some standout rifles, the Winchester Model 88 lever action and the Model 100 semi-auto. Later, Ruger 77s and Browning BLRs also carried the caliber. The design was simple. Take a .308 Winchester case, neck it up for a .358 caliber bullet, and you had a round packing serious muscle. It was marketed as the modern heir to the older .348 Winchester and offered more power than the .35 Remington while fitting into a short-action rifle. Its golden years came when Winchester produced rifles like the 88 and 100 chambered in .358. Though those models have since faded, the Browning BLR and some Ruger bolt guns kept the caliber alive for a while. Performance-wise, it could push a 250-grain bullet around 2,200 feet per second, delivering about 2,686 foot-pounds of energy. Solid numbers for big game hunting. Eventually, though, the 338 Federal moved in as a competitor, another necked-up .308 round with better availability, and it largely took over the market. Today, factory ammo for the .358 Winchester is still out there but rare. If you own a rifle in this caliber, smart shooters stockpile brass and bullets and dive into reloading. Even casting your own bullets might be a savvy move to keep this classic cartridge hunting ready. The 35 Remington, Northern Wood's trusted powerhouse. Back in the early 1900s, the 35 Remington carved a solid reputation in the thick woods of Maine and the Adirondacks, becoming a trusted tool for dropping whitetails with real authority. Introduced in 1906, this cartridge offered more punch than the .3030 Winchester and was originally designed for the semi-auto Remington Model 8, not the lever actions many associate it with today. Its rim sat flush with the base, a design choice unusual for lever gun cartridges. When Marlin chambered the iconic Model 336 and 35 Remington, its popularity exploded in deer camps across the Northeast. Ballistically, it held its own. A 200-grain bullet leaving the muzzle at roughly 2,800 feet per second, delivering around 1,776 foot-pounds of energy. Hotter loads like Buffalo Bore's 220-grain bullet pushed even harder, with energy exceeding 2,360 foot-pounds. This was serious impact for the era, a cartridge that wasn't just competing with the 3030, but forging its own path. Though plenty of lever actions are still chambered for the 35 Remington, its glory days as a mainstream hunting round are long gone. Modern hunters favor smaller calibers with flatter trajectories and better availability. The 35 Remington stands now as a classic, a relic beloved by diehards but mostly sidelined by today's trends. The 350 Remington Magnum, Jeff Cooper's favorite short magnum, launched in 1965. The 350 Remington Magnum quickly earned a reputation, thanks in part to legendary firearms expert Jeff Cooper, who named it one of his personal favorites. Alongside the 6.5 Remington Magnum, it was among the first short magnum cartridges introduced. Its debut in Alaska, chambered in the lightweight Remington Model 600, was a game-changer. Hunters loved the balance of a rifle light enough for all-day carry, but packing enough punch to drop moose or bears on demand. However, that power came with a noticeable recoil. Nothing you couldn't handle, but certainly felt. Cooper himself fueled its legend when he dropped a lion using the 350 Rem Mag, paired with a custom scout rifle. Despite this, the cartridge's commercial life was brief. Within a decade, it started vanishing from store shelves. Remington's attempt to revive it in 2002 with the Model 673 guide gun failed to spark renewed interest. Ballistically, the cartridge was never the problem. Launching a 225-grain bullet at roughly 2,550 feet per second, it delivered about 3,248 foot-pounds of energy, enough to handle any North American game. The real issue today? Ammo scarcity. Factory loads are now unicorns, forcing shooters to handload if they want to keep firing this legendary short magnum. The 356 Winchester, a lever-action revival that missed the mark introduced in 1982, the 356 Winchester was Winchester's bold attempt to breathe new life into the Model 94 lever action. Launched alongside the 307 Winchester, both cartridges were rimmed versions of the 308 Winchester case, designed to bring Magnum-style performance to a classic lever gun. Essentially, the .B56 was a rimmed 358 Winchester, trading off just 50 to 100 feet per second in velocity while maintaining comparable energy. On paper, it looked like a solid plan. But by the early 80s, the hunting market was shifting. Hunters were increasingly drawn to bolt actions and semi-automatics chambered for flatter shooting, higher velocity rounds. The appetite for another heavy 35 caliber lever gun cartridge was minimal. Interest in the 356 Winchester was lukewarm from day one. Within less than 10 years, the 356 Winchester was already fading fast, becoming one of the more obscure 35 calibers out there. Today, if you own one of these rifles, the best strategy is clear. Stockpile every box of factory ammo you can find and get serious about handloading. Factory ammunition is nearly extinct, trickling off production lines in tiny amounts, and handloading is the only way to keep shooting this cartridge alive. The 356 Winchester serves as a stark reminder. Sometimes even well-intentioned innovation can miss the mark in a rapidly evolving market. These 535 caliber legends each had their time in the spotlight, respected for their power and reliability. But today, they've largely faded, replaced by cartridges that shoot flatter, hit harder, and are easier to find. Advances in ballistics and modern bullet technology mean smaller calibers often outperform these old-timers. Hunters who once grabbed a 35 without hesitation now have lighter, more versatile options. Ammo availability also plays a huge role. No matter how good a round, if you can't find or reload it, it's a tough choice. Still, these cartridges hold value for diehards who cherish their history and stopping power. For most, they're curiosities, admired but rarely fielded. Will they make a comeback? or become relics? That depends on whether hunters value nostalgia or innovation. So would you hunt with one of these classics today? For heritage or real performance? Share your thoughts and don't forget to like and subscribe, because knowing the past shapes the future.